Hey, welcome. This is a little video for Juno in Gemini. So, if we're looking at Juno as the function of love and commitment and marriage of some kind of union, in Gemini is a mutable sign, so it means that it can and it needs to move, can and needs to move in multiple directions. It's also an air sign, which is a sign that needs to communicate and converse and exchange ideas, verbalize things. So here, Juno needs inquisitive partners, or partners that like the fact that they're inquisitive, folks who will be intellectually stimulating. There needs to be a lot of communication in the relationships, people who will indulge their curiosity and questions, folks that are multidimensional and exciting. Gemini likes a lot of diversity. It likes a lot of options. It hates to be bored. In Gemini, Juno might need diverse types of relationships and options in terms of the kind of commitments that are made. The difficulty with Juno in Gemini is that it can be afraid to commit, always wondering what the other options are out there. Gemini is often blamed for being duplicitous and two-faced. And while that might be true for some folks with a heavy Gemini signature, it's not true of all Geminis. But there's this thing about Geminis where they might not understand their effect on people, because there's like this ability for Gemini to be so fascinated with something, but it won't last for that long. And so if somebody with a Gemini signature is really fascinated in you, one might take it seriously, whereas the Gemini is not meaning it that seriously. It's just that momentarily they find you stunning. And so they'll treat you like a charming, amazing person. And then the winds might shift, and then they might be onto something else. And it's not personal, but people can tend to take it personally. That might be a function of Gemini, but Gemini definitely needs options and questions answered and movement and a sense of being out in the open, like the open air, the open road, some sort of open possibility. And so in committed partnerships, that's a specific type of situation that one needs. And then also, if you have Juno and Gemini and you're like, that's not me at all, you might have like a super heavy earth or water signature or something else that wants more safety or commitment, or like to understand where the commitment lies, or something else. And it might just be that in your partnerships, communication and learning and being able to swap information is really important, or is a need that you have that when it's not met, it feels difficult. So see how that fits for you. I had a really hard time finding an example chart for Juno and Gemini, and Lauryn Hill has no birth time out there. Nobody knows what time she's born. So I don't have a time of birth, but we've got the Juno in Gemini in Lauryn Hill's chart very close to her sun, or within, 8 degrees. It's close enough for me. And so, there's a significant thing here. Now, of course, we know that Lauryn Hill was in a relationship with Wyclef, and they were both in the group, the Fugees. And so, the fact that she's got Juno in Gemini is kind of funny, because they're both rappers and their abilities are astounding. And of course, Lauren's like, one of the greatest hip hop artists probably of all times. And so you could say like, yeah, I mean, her first major relationship was with somebody that she literally as a career, communicated with to him. He wasn't the only person in the group, but their relationship was a main theme of that group. But, the fact that their main connection was through the music, which was about communicating, is interesting. Also, she has that archetype of the Juno. So she has the archetype of the one who's the divine consort. And, I've read articles. It's really hard to say what happened. He says that she was duplicitous with him. He said that she lied about her pregnancy. And then there's, has a different story, or there's not much that she's said in a long time. And so there certainly seems to have been a betrayal. He was married for some of their relationship, it seems. So there's the infidelity. But she's more the other woman, or maybe she felt like his wife was the other woman. I'm not sure. But there's the breaking of commitments, and her feeling, seemingly from what I've been able to read and gather of her life, is that there was a feeling of being betrayed and being abandoned, and then needing to leave and retreat from that relationship and go do her own musical career. And then, of course, she had another marriage and had children and all of that. I think now currently she's single, but that's what I have for that. And also, her sun is right by the south node. This is the south node here. And she's born at a full moon. She's born just after full moon. So she's born at a lunar eclipse, at a pretty tight lunar eclipse. And so she has that, that big eclipse energy. When we're born at an eclipse, we have that energy where we can eclipse the world. Like, our light, our brilliance, our talent, our chaos, or whatever can come out and kind of eclipse everything else. And we can be magnificent. And, 45, the current sitting president, is also born at a full lunar eclipse. And he's chaotic, and he's eclipsed a lot of things, and it's dramatic and all of that. And Lauryn Hill has that same, as she doesn't have anything same as him, but she has that. She's born also at a lunar eclipse where she came out and just eclipsed everything. I mean, she was this phenomenon, and her music really overtook everything for a moment in a very impactful way. And still, you can listen to her music now. It's still jaw dropping. But her sun is right next to the south node. And so the feeling of despair or loss or is often connected with the south node, and can be difficult to have the light of our chart right by an eclipse point, and the lights of our chart being in an eclipse. And so it's dramatic, and it's also can feel overwhelming even for ourselves. And so she's, definitely had her ups and downs and struggles. But that Juno in Gemini, and she's such a Gemini, right? It's, her ability to articulate, and especially when you listen to her older stuff, she was so young, and what the concepts that she was rapping about and singing about were far beyond her years in a lot of ways. And just her skill is incredible in terms of her ability to communicate. So there you have it. She is Juno. She embodies that in some way. The scorned woman, the divine consort, the muse, the beauty, the just goddess, the queen of heaven, and then, all the rest of it. So we'll see how life unfolds for her for the rest of her time here. But there's many ways to live out these myths and these archetypes and these goddesses. So anyways, I hope that was helpful. And remember that we still have to do the house and the other things that your Juno is around. So more soon. Lots of love. Bye for now.